For this video, we are going to be working on filling in this handout. If you do not have this handout in front of you, go grab one from my desk. Before we begin filling in the handout, there are a few important things I need you to know. First of all, and when I say a century, what that means is a 100-year period. So 1 century is 100 years. Half a century is 50 years. We describe periods of 100 years as centuries and give them specific names. So for example, the year 0 to 99 is the first century. It's the first 100 years AD or CE. The years 2000 to 2099 are the 21st century. They are the 21st 100-year period after the year 0. To figure out how to name a century, take the year and add 1 to the hundreds/thousands place. So if we are in the year 2022, we are looking at the hundreds place and the thousands place and adding 1. So that means we are in the 21st century. That's how historians describe the centuries that they are studying. We are going to study between the 5th century and the 15th century this year. In order to figure out from a century, to figure out what years that century includes, subtract 1 and then add 2 zeros. So the 5th century is going to be the 400s. So the year 400 to 499 is the 5th century. Write 400s under 5th century on your handout. The 6th century is the 500s. The 7th century is the 600s. This is a pattern that you can complete all the way through the 15th century. When the video pauses, make sure that you have filled in the years that go with each century at the top of your paper. These centuries, the 5th century to the 15th century, or the 400s to the 1400s, is known as the medieval period. This is the period that we will be learning about this year, the medieval period. The medieval period starts in the year 476, which is during the 5th century, with the fall of Rome. When the video pauses, write fall of Rome underneath 476 AD on your notes. The medieval period begins in the 5th century with the fall of Rome, and it takes place over 10 centuries to the year 1400-ish with the start of the Renaissance. When the video pauses, write start of Renaissance on your notes. This year, we are focusing on all of these years. We are focusing on the medieval period. We are starting where Mr. Schofield left off with the fall of Rome. We're going to learn about all of these centuries, and then we'll end right before the start of the Renaissance, and that's what you'll start learning in 9th grade. These years, approximately 500 to 1400, is called the medieval period. It's also known as the Middle Ages. That's because it takes place in the middle of when Rome was powerful before it and when the Renaissance was happening after it. So we call this the Middle Ages because it's in the middle of Rome and the Renaissance. When historians during the Renaissance looked back at this period, they noticed that it was not a great time to be alive. Kind of like how if we look back at 2020, we might look at it as a dark period of time. So when historians after this period were looking back, they started calling it the Dark Ages. Another name that they gave it was the Muddy Ages. Anytime you hear any of these words, it is talking about these centuries, the 5th century to the 15th century, which is also the period of time that we will be studying this year. At the end of this video, confirm that everything that's in purple on my screen, you have written on your notes. When you've done that, you are done with this video and you can move